What if every step you took meant placing your life on a structure never meant to be trusted, where one slip, one violent gust, could erase you into the emptiness below? Suspended over roaring rivers and jagged chasms, wrapped in shifting fog and hammered by unpredictable winds, these bridges shudder, snap, and sway like fragile lifelines stretched across the edge of survival, warning that not every crossing is meant to be survived. In northern Pakistan, the Husseini Hanging Bridge thrashes under relentless crosswinds, each step a nerve-wracking leap between uneven, broken planks as the entire bridge swings violently beneath you and the roaring Hunza River churns far below, pulling your focus downward with terrifying force. Deep in Japan's Iya Valley, ancient vine bridges twist and sag high above sharp rocks and rushing water, their hand-woven strands creaking under pressure, as if ready to give way without warning. High in the Swiss Alps, the Trift suspension bridge hangs at a terrifying height of over 300 feet above a glacial abyss, where thin air, freezing steel, and powerful gusts turn every step into a fight against gravity itself. These are not simply bridges, but extreme danger zones where hesitation can be fatal, where warning signs are absolute, and where no one should ever feel safe setting foot. Now prepare yourself to witness the most dangerous bridges on Earth, where each crossing is a gamble, and where some paths were never meant to be touched. Trift Suspension Bridge stretches across a high alpine valley shaped by ice and time, a striking response to a landscape that has been rapidly changing over the years. Built in the early 2000s, the bridge runs about 560 feet long and rises more than 330 feet above the rocky, icy valley below, reconnecting a path that once crossed directly over a solid glacier. Its existence tells a deeper story. As the Trift Glacier melted and pulled back, the old route simply disappeared, forcing people to create a new way across a gap that keeps growing wider each year. Walking on the bridge feels surreal. The narrow metal walkway lets you see straight down, while snow-capped peaks and broken ice stretch out in every direction, making you feel small in a vast, shifting world. But the danger is real. Strong mountain winds can suddenly shake the entire bridge, and the extreme height creates a dizzying drop that can make your legs feel unsteady within seconds. Even experienced hikers slow down here, gripping the side cables, focusing on each careful step as the air rushes past and the valley opens endlessly beneath them. In the end, this bridge is more than a crossing. It is a place where human determination meets a changing planet, and where every step reminds you just how powerful nature truly is. Quechua Keswa Chaka Bridge hangs over a deep canyon like a relic from another age, a hand-woven lifeline that has defied time, gravity, and modern replacement. Spanning roughly 120 feet across the Apurimac River and suspended about 100 feet above the rushing water, this bridge is not built with steel or concrete, but entirely from braided grass, renewed year after year. Its origins trace back more than 500 years to the Inca Empire, when networks of rope bridges connected remote mountain communities across the Andes. Today, local Quechua families continue that legacy, gathering each year to rebuild the bridge by hand in a tradition passed down through generations. The process is both simple and remarkable. Bundles of native grass are twisted into thick cables, then stretched across the canyon and tied together, forming a narrow walkway that looks fragile, yet can support multiple people at once. But the danger is undeniable. The bridge sways with every step, its fibers creaking under tension, while the powerful river roars below, creating a constant reminder of the drop beneath your feet. There are no guardrails, no modern reinforcements, only rope beneath your feet and open air all around, forcing you to rely on balance and instinct alone. More than a structure, Quechua is a living piece of history where culture, survival, and engineering meet, proving that even the simplest materials can carry the weight of an entire civilization. Hussaini Hanging Bridge. Stretching across the Hunza River like a fractured line suspended in midair, this hanging bridge exists in one of the most rugged landscapes on Earth, where narrow valleys funnel wind and sound with unsettling intensity. Spanning roughly 600 feet and hovering about 40 feet above the icy, fast-moving river, it links isolated communities in a region shaped by glaciers, landslides, and extreme seasonal shifts. The Hunza River below is not just water, but a force of erosion, carrying silt, ice-cold currents, and debris from high mountain glaciers, constantly reshaping the terrain beneath the bridge. Built by local hands using steel cables and rough wooden planks, the structure reflects practicality over perfection, with uneven boards, wide gaps, and weathered surfaces that reveal years of exposure to sun, snow, and wind. Many of the planks are spaced irregularly, some warped, some missing entirely, turning the bridge into a patchwork of wood and air that feels unfinished, almost temporary, despite its vital role. What makes it truly dangerous is how unpredictable it becomes, as sudden gusts can jolt the entire bridge without warning, while the unstable surface demands constant attention with every step. The danger comes not from a single factor, but from the combination of shifting winds, unstable footing, and the constant roar of the river below, creating an environment where focus is everything and distraction can be costly. In this remote landscape, the bridge stands as both a necessity and a symbol, a fragile connection between people and place, shaped by nature's extremes and maintained by those who have no other way across. Kampong Cham Bamboo Bridge stretches across the restless Mekong like a living organism, not built to last but to return, vanish, and be reborn with the rhythm of the river itself. Each year as floodwaters rise and swallow the banks, this remarkable structure is dismantled, only to be rebuilt when the dry season returns. Spanning nearly 3,000 feet, it connects the mainland to Koh Pan Island, carrying thousands of crossings a day, from motorbikes to pedestrians, all trusting a bridge made almost entirely of bamboo. Engineered with surprising ingenuity, the bridge relies on tightly bound bamboo poles, layered in a flexible lattice that absorbs vibration and distributes weight. Instead of resisting the Mekong's force, it adapts to it, swaying gently under loads that can exceed several tons, a delicate balance between strength and fragility. As you step onto its uneven surface, every movement triggers a chorus of creaks and rattles, the entire structure trembling beneath you while the muddy current rushes just feet below, reminding you how temporary your safety truly is. Yet beyond the fear, the bridge reveals a deeper story of resilience, where local communities rebuild not just a crossing, but a lifeline, year after year, defying both nature and permanence. From above, it appears almost like a woven thread across the Mekong, fragile, fleeting, and extraordinary, a testament to how human necessity can transform even the simplest material into something unforgettable. Iwaya Valley Vine Bridge stretches across a quiet mountain gorge, a crossing that feels less constructed and more grown from the landscape itself. Spanning about 140 feet and hanging roughly 45 feet above a clear, fast-moving river, it is woven from natural vines, forming a bridge that appears fragile yet has endured for centuries. Its origins date back over 800 years, when it is believed that fleeing warriors created these bridges as hidden escape routes, designed to be cut down quickly if needed. Built using thick mountain vines twisted into ropes, with wooden slats laid across, the structure leaves wide gaps that reveal the rushing water below, making every glance downward impossible to ignore. Surrounded by steep cliffs and dense forest, the bridge blends into its environment, almost disappearing into the greenery and mist that often fills the valley. The danger is subtle, but constant. The vines stretch and sway under weight, and the uneven planks force careful, deliberate steps, while the open sides create a steady sense of exposure. Today it remains not just a path, but a living connection to the past, where traditional craftsmanship and nature exist in a delicate, unforgettable balance. Carrick a Reed Rope Bridge. Stretching across a narrow gap between rugged cliffs and a small rocky island, this rope bridge feels like a thin line suspended between land and open sea. Spanning about 60 feet and hanging nearly 100 feet above the crashing Atlantic below, it was first built more than 300 years ago by salmon fishermen seeking a faster route to their nets. Its purpose was simple, but the setting was anything but. Strong ocean currents and seasonal fish migrations shaped where it was placed, turning a dangerous coastal gap into a working lifeline for generations. What began as a minimal rope crossing with only a single handrail is now reinforced with stronger materials, yet it still retains the narrow form and exposed design that reflects its original function. The danger is immediate and unmistakable. Sudden gusts can cause the bridge to sway, and the height above the churning water creates a dizzying drop that can overwhelm even confident visitors. Crossing it becomes a test of focus and control. Each step brings the sound of wind and waves closer, while the open sides offer nothing but air between you and the ocean below. Yet the reward is a rare perspective. From the center, the coastline unfolds in dramatic layers, where cliffs, sea, and sky merge into a powerful natural scene shaped by time and tide. Here, this simple bridge stands as a reminder that even the most basic structures can exist in extraordinary places, balancing human purpose against the raw force of nature. Urbane Bridge. Stretching across calm, reflective waters like a fading line of time, this wooden bridge is where history, nature, and daily life quietly converge. Built in the mid-19th century, It extends more than 3/4 of a mile across Tongtamen Lake, supported by hundreds of teakwood posts that have stood for over 150 years. Its construction reflects both necessity and ingenuity. Reclaimed teak pillars were driven deep into the lakebed, forming a narrow path that has endured shifting seasons, rising waters, and constant use. During the dry season, the water recedes to reveal cracked earth beneath the stilts, while in the monsoon months, the lake expands into a vast mirror, turning the bridge into a floating silhouette. At first glance, it feels peaceful, but the danger is subtle, hidden in weathered planks, uneven footing, and the absence of railings, where a single misstep near the edge can quickly become serious. Crossing it becomes a quiet, immersive experience. Monks in saffron robes, fishermen, and villagers move slowly across, their footsteps echoing softly as the horizon stretches endlessly over water. At sunrise and sunset, light transforms the entire scene into a moving painting, where shadows, reflections, and human figures blend into one continuous flow. Here, the bridge is more than a structure. It is a living connection between people and place, carrying not just footsteps, but centuries of history across the water. Charles Quonen Suspension Bridge stretches across a vast alpine valley like a thin line drawn between two mountains, creating a crossing that feels both precise and exposed in the open air. Completed in the late 2010s, it spans an astonishing 1,621 feet and rises nearly 300 feet above the rugged terrain below, making it one of the longest pedestrian suspension bridges in the world and a striking example of modern mountain engineering. It was built to replace an older hiking route frequently closed due to rockfalls, offering a more reliable path through a landscape that is constantly shifting under the forces of gravity, weather, and time. The bridge itself is intentionally narrow and direct, with a metal walkway supported by strong steel cables, designed to minimize risk while still leaving hikers fully exposed to the surrounding environment. The danger, however, is impossible to ignore, as sudden alpine winds can sweep through the valley and cause noticeable movement, while the extreme height creates a powerful sense of vertigo that challenges balance and focus. At the midpoint, the experience transforms into something unforgettable, as snow-covered peaks, deep valleys, and drifting clouds surround you, offering a rare and breathtaking perspective shaped by altitude and isolation. Doge Bridge rises above a vast mountain canyon like a highway suspended in the sky, connecting regions once separated by some of the most extreme terrain on Earth. Located in a deep river valley, the bridge towers more than 1,800 feet above the Baypan River, making it one of the highest bridges ever built, while stretching over 4,400 feet across steep cliffs and unstable slopes. Sharp ridges, loose rock, and frequent fog create conditions where traditional road construction would have taken decades, forcing engineers to build upward instead of through. Construction itself was a major challenge. Workers had to transport materials across cliffs and suspend cables in high winds, often working at extreme heights where even small errors could be dangerous. What once required several hours of winding travel through mountain roads has been reduced to just about 1 hour, dramatically improving transportation and access. Strong crosswinds, heavy fog, and the sheer height create conditions where driving requires constant attention, especially as vehicles move across a structure suspended far above the valley floor. From above, the bridge appears almost unreal, a thin line cutting through clouds and mountains, showing how human engineering can reshape distance, while still standing at the edge of nature's extremes. Bixby Creek Bridge rises along a rugged stretch of coastline where land meets the restless Pacific, forming one of the most iconic crossings in American engineering. Completed in the early 1930s, it spans about 714 feet across a steep coastal canyon, while standing roughly 260 feet above the rocky creek and crashing waves below. The location itself posed a serious challenge. Sheer cliffs, unstable ground, and constant ocean winds made traditional construction methods nearly impossible, forcing engineers to rely on a reinforced concrete arch design that could anchor securely into the surrounding rock. At the time, it was one of the tallest single-span concrete bridges in the world, built without the heavy machinery available today, requiring workers to transport materials along narrow coastal paths and construct temporary wooden frameworks high above the canyon. From above, the scene is constantly changing. Fog rolls in from the ocean, waves strike the shoreline below, and shifting light transforms the bridge into a silhouette against cliffs and sea. More than a crossing, it represents a moment in history when engineering adapted to nature rather than reshaping it, creating a structure that feels permanently woven into the coastline itself. Jambatan Seri Saujana Bridge. Cutting across still water like a frozen motion of steel, this bridge feels less like a structure and more like a bold gesture drawn into the landscape. With a total length of about 1,100 feet and a main span near 500 feet, its most striking feature is a single leaning pylon, rising almost 200 feet, tilting forward as if pushing the entire bridge ahead. Unlike traditional designs, everything here is slightly off balance on purpose. The cables spread out in a fan-like pattern, holding the roadway from one side, creating a visual tension that makes the bridge appear light, almost floating. From above, the bridge curves gently through a carefully planned city, linking key districts and cutting travel time that once required long detours. Seen at night, it transforms completely. Lights trace its cables and edges, turning the structure into a glowing arc reflected in the water below. Here, engineering is not just about solving distance, but about shaping movement, where design, environment, and human intention come together in a single, sweeping line. Pingtang Bridge stretches across a vast karst valley like a road suspended in the sky, connecting regions once separated by some of the most difficult terrain in southern China. With a total length of over 7,000 feet and towers rising more than 1,000 feet, it stands among the tallest and longest cable-supported bridges ever constructed. Below, the landscape is fractured and unstable. Sharp limestone peaks, deep sinkholes, and hidden valleys make ground construction nearly impossible, forcing engineers to build high above the terrain instead of through it. The construction process pushed limits. Workers operated at extreme heights, transporting materials across cliffs while dealing with wind, fog, and sudden weather changes that could halt progress at any moment. The structure relies on massive towers and cables to hold the roadway steady, creating a balance between strength and elevation in an environment that offers little natural support. Danger still remains. Strong crosswinds and dense fog can reduce visibility and affect stability, especially on a road suspended far above the valley floor. Today, the bridge has transformed travel. Journeys that once took hours through winding mountain roads are now reduced to a fraction of that time, improving access and connection across the region. Astoria Megler Bridge stretches across the mouth of a vast river like a steel horizon, linking land where fresh water meets the restless Pacific. Completed in the late 1960s, it extends more than 4 miles in length, making it one of the longest continuous truss bridges in North America, with sections rising about 200 feet above the shipping channel. The The geography here is constantly in motion. The Columbia River carries massive volumes of water toward the ocean, where tides, currents, and shifting weather collide, creating unpredictable conditions below. Building across this environment was a challenge of scale and timing. Engineers had to design a structure strong enough to withstand powerful winds, corrosive salt air, and the force of moving water, while allowing large ships to pass beneath. Yet danger is never far away. Dense fog can roll in without warning, reducing visibility to near zero, while strong coastal winds can push against vehicles traveling across the exposed roadway. Here, engineering does not dominate nature. It adapts to it, stretching across one of the most powerful river systems on the continent. Yachi River Bridge cuts across a deep mountain gorge like a line suspended between cliffs, rising above a landscape shaped by erosion and time. Completed in the mid-2010s, it stretches roughly 4,400 feet in total length, with a main span of about 2,600 feet, while standing nearly 1,040 feet above the Yachi River below. Steep canyon walls, unstable rock layers, and sudden elevation changes made traditional road construction nearly impossible, forcing engineers to build high above the valley instead of through it. Massive cables had to be extended across the gorge, and workers operated in conditions where wind, fog, and altitude could shift rapidly, turning each phase into a high-risk operation. The bridge uses a suspension design with tall towers and strong cables holding a narrow roadway steady across open space, creating a structure that appears light but carries significant load. Danger remains part of the environment. Strong crosswinds and reduced visibility can affect drivers, especially on a roadway suspended far above the river, where depth perception becomes challenging. From above, the view is striking. The river winds through steep cliffs, while clouds drift through the valley, sometimes rising to meet the bridge itself. Öresund Bridge stretches across a windswept strait like a seamless connection between two nations, linking land, sea, and engineering into a single continuous route. Completed at the turn of the 21st century, it runs for about 5 miles as a bridge before transitioning into a tunnel, creating a combined system that spans nearly 10 miles between Sweden and Denmark. Shallow waters, strong currents, and constant marine traffic required a design that would not block ships or disrupt the natural flow of the strait. A long, cable-stayed bridge carries vehicles high above the water. then descends onto an artificial island, where the roadway disappears into an underwater tunnel, allowing ships to pass freely overhead. Thousands of workers, engineers, and planners collaborated to align two infrastructures into one, balancing different standards, climates, and environmental concerns. Drivers move from open sky to enclosed tunnel in a matter of moments, while strong coastal winds can sweep across the exposed bridge, adding a subtle sense of tension. More than a crossing, it stands as a symbol of connection, where geography once divided and engineering now unites. Agus Bridge rises above a deep forested valley like a narrow line suspended in the tropical air, cutting through one of the most landslide-prone regions in the Philippines. Completed in the late 2000s, it stretches roughly 1,100 feet in length and stands about 240 feet above the ground, making it one of the tallest bridges in the country. Steep slopes, heavy rainfall, and unstable soil often trigger landslides, once blocking the only road through this mountain corridor for days or even weeks. To solve this, engineers designed a cable-stayed structure anchored into more stable ground, lifting the roadway above the most dangerous sections instead of forcing it through them. For local communities, the impact has been immediate. Travel that was once unpredictable and often dangerous has become faster and more reliable, connecting regions that were frequently cut off. From above, dense green forest stretches in every direction, while mist drifts through the valley beneath the bridge, creating a scene where engineering rises quietly within the raw intensity of nature. Punakha Suspension Bridge stretches across a wide Himalayan river like a narrow thread of steel and prayer flags, linking quiet villages to the historic heart of the valley. Spanning about 525 feet and hanging roughly 100 feet above the Pho Chu River, it is one of the longest suspension bridges in Bhutan, built to replace older crossings often damaged by seasonal floods. The bridge uses steel cables anchored deep into the ground, with a narrow walkway suspended between them, allowing it to remain stable while adapting to the natural movement of wind and water. Strong gusts can cause the bridge to sway, while the open sides and height above the fast-moving river create a constant sense of exposure. Colorful prayer flags line the sides, fluttering continuously in the wind, carrying symbolic messages of protection and balance across the valley. It is a meeting point of culture, nature, and survival, where human movement flows alongside the rhythms of the river below. Careen Bridge stretches across a vast canyon like a steel arc carved into open air, linking both sides of a landscape shaped by water and time. Completed in the mid-1970s, it spans about 1,500 feet across the Snake River Canyon and rises nearly 500 feet above the river below, making it one of the highest bridges in the region. The terrain beneath tells a much older story. Over thousands of years, the Snake River carved deep into volcanic rock, creating steep canyon walls that made direct crossing nearly impossible without a structure of this scale. But what sets this bridge apart is not just its structure, it is the people drawn to it. It is one of the few bridges in the United States where base jumping is legal year-round, attracting jumpers who step off from nearly 500 feet above the ground into the open canyon below. That freedom also highlights its danger. High winds and changing air currents within the canyon can make conditions unpredictable, turning each jump into a calculated risk. Here, engineering meets both nature and human daring, creating a place where structure, landscape, and risk exist side by side. Pont de Normandie stretches across the wide mouth of a tidal river like a delicate line of cables and steel, linking two shores shaped by both industry and nature. Completed in the mid-1990s, it spans over 7,000 feet in total length, with a main span of about 2,800 feet, once ranking among the longest cable-stayed bridges in the world. The geography here is constantly shifting. The Seine River meets the open sea, creating strong tides, changing water levels, and powerful winds that sweep across the exposed estuary. To meet these conditions, engineers designed tall pylons rising more than 700 feet, supporting a web of cables that hold the roadway steady while allowing flexibility against wind forces. Construction required precision at scale. Building over open water meant dealing with tides, weather, and the challenge of anchoring massive foundations into soft, shifting riverbed conditions. From above, the view is expansive and constantly changing. Cargo ships move along the river, while light reflects off the water, blending sky and surface into a single horizon. Clifton's suspension bridge stretches across a dramatic limestone gorge like a timeless arc, linking two sides of a landscape carved by the Avon River over millions of years. Completed in the mid-19th century, it spans about 700 feet between towers and rises roughly 245 feet above the river below, creating a crossing that once seemed nearly impossible. The geography shaped every decision. Steep cliffs and unstable rock formations made building from below extremely difficult, forcing engineers to suspend the structure high above the gorge instead of anchoring within it. Designed by Isambard Kingdom Brunel, the bridge uses massive chains and stone towers to support a narrow deck, combining early industrial materials with precise engineering for its time. The danger is subtle but real. Strong winds can sweep through the gorge, and the height above the river creates a constant sense of exposure, especially along the narrow span. Here, engineering meets history, standing not just as a crossing, but as a lasting symbol of ambition shaped by both nature and time. Route 2 Bridge stretches across a busy urban river like a clean, modern line, connecting expanding districts within one of northern Vietnam's fastest-growing coastal cities. Completed in the early 2010s, the bridge extends roughly 2,000 feet in length and carries multiple traffic lanes, designed to handle the rapid increase in vehicles moving between residential and industrial zones. The geography here is defined by water and growth. The river flows through low-lying terrain influenced by tides and seasonal rains, creating conditions where stable foundations and flood resilience become essential for long-term infrastructure. Architecturally, the bridge follows a balanced, modern approach. Wide concrete spans and reinforced supports distribute weight evenly, allowing for both durability and smooth traffic flow across a structure built to serve daily urban demands. Its construction marked a shift in regional development. As surrounding areas expanded, the need for faster, more reliable connections became critical, reducing congestion and travel time across key parts of the city. Here, the structure is more than a crossing. It is part of a larger story of urban expansion, where geography, engineering, and human movement continue to reshape the city's future. Bosphorus Bridge stretches between two continents like a line drawn across history, connecting Europe and Asia over one of the world's most strategic waterways. Completed in the early 1970s, it spans about 3,500 feet, with towers rising nearly 540 feet, carrying thousands of vehicles daily across the Bosphorus Strait. The geography here is unique. Narrow yet deep, the strait channels powerful currents between the Black Sea and the Sea of Marmara, while dense urban development presses tightly along both shores. Its suspension design allows the roadway to float high above busy shipping lanes, where massive cargo vessels pass beneath, maintaining one of the most important maritime routes on the planet. After the bridge opened, travel time dropped dramatically, accelerating trade, commuting, and urban expansion across both sides of the city. From above, the bridge glows at night, its lights tracing a path across dark water, symbolizing connection across geography, culture, and time. Nan Pu Bridge rises above a dense urban river like a sweeping ribbon of steel, transforming limited space into a flowing path of motion. Completed in the early 1990s, it stretches about 2,500 feet across the Huangpu River, with a main span near 1,400 feet, supported by tall, cable-stayed towers that anchor the structure into the city. Surrounded by tightly packed districts and busy waterways, engineers had to design not just a bridge, but an entire system that could manage traffic in a constrained urban environment. A massive spiral approach ramp, rising in a circular pattern, allows vehicles to gain height gradually, turning limited land into vertical movement and making the bridge instantly recognizable. By reducing congestion and improving cross-river access, it accelerated development on both sides, linking commercial zones and residential areas more efficiently. From above, the bridge appears as a looping pathway feeding into a straight line across the river, a visual symbol of how engineering can adapt to density and redefine how a city moves. Yavuz Sultan Selim Bridge stretches across the northern Bosphorus like a powerful line of steel, marking a new chapter in the connection between continents. Completed in the mid-2010, it spans about 7,100 feet in total length, with a main span of roughly 4,600 feet, supported by towers rising nearly 1,000 feet above the water. The geography here is both strategic and demanding. Strong currents, deep waters, and wide shipping lanes required a design that could stand high above one of the busiest maritime corridors in the world. Combining suspension and cable-stayed elements, the bridge supports both highway lanes and railway tracks, making it one of the widest bridges of its kind at over 190 feet across. Engineers worked in challenging wind conditions, assembling massive components while maintaining balance across long distances. From above, the bridge cuts across water and forest, a bold structure redefining how geography and modern development meet.